There are victories that confirm progress, and there are victories that expose fragility dressed as competence. Manchester United's single-goal triumph over Newcastle belongs entirely to the second category. Strip away the result, ignore the circumstances of the decisive moment, and what remains is a portrait of a club still governed by situational rescue rather than systematic control. This was not a match won through design. It was a match survived through incident. And that distinction matters far more than the points column will ever reveal. The angle worth dissecting here is not what Manchester United did correctly, but rather the illusion this result perpetuates, the dangerous fiction that outcomes validate processes. For months now, United have operated under a tactical framework that prioritizes defensive compactness and counter-attacking opportunity over sustained territorial dominance. On paper, this approach has delivered results. In practice, it has masked a deeper structural problem: the absence of a reliable mechanism to break down organized defensive blocks without relying on individual brilliance or refereeing intervention. Newcastle arrived at Old Trafford with a clear understanding of this vulnerability. Their defensive shape was compact, disciplined, and deliberately constructed to eliminate space in the central channel. They conceded possession willingly, knowing that possession without penetration is merely movement without threat. And for the vast majority of this encounter, Newcastle's tactical hypothesis was proven correct. United circulated the ball across the defensive third and into wide areas with reasonable fluency, but every attempt to advance into the final third encountered a wall of bodies that their passing patterns were simply not sophisticated enough to dismantle. What made this particularly revealing was not just the lack of creation, but the lack of variation in approach. United recycled possession horizontally. They switched play from flank to flank. They occasionally delivered crosses into the penalty area that were cleared with minimal difficulty. But at no point did their attacking structure suggest the presence of a choreographed solution to Newcastle's low block. There were no rotations designed to drag defenders out of position, no third-man runs to create passing lanes through congested zones, no deliberate manipulation of defensive depth through vertical passes followed by immediate support movements. The attacking play was reactive, improvisational, and ultimately sterile. This is where the structural dependence becomes impossible to ignore. Manchester United have become a team that waits for something to happen rather than a team that makes things happen. They wait for an opponent's defensive lapse. They wait for a moment of individual magic from a forward. They wait for a set-piece opportunity. And when none of those variables materialize organically, they wait for an incident inside the penalty area that might tip the scales in their favor. This is not a criticism of the player's effort or commitment. It is an observation about systemic design. The architecture of United's offensive play does not generate high-quality chances through coordinated movement and precise timing. It generates half chances through volume and hope. Newcastle understood this perfectly. Their defensive organization never wavered. They maintained their compactness. They tracked runners diligently. They contested every cross. And for the majority of the match, they succeeded in neutralizing United's attacking threat entirely. The crucial moment that decided the outcome did not emerge from a breakdown in Newcastle's defensive structure. It emerged from an isolated incident that exists outside the realm of tactical planning. And this is precisely why the result is misleading. When a team wins through a momentary refereeing decision rather than through the accumulation of superior attacking play, the victory does not validate the underlying approach. It merely postpones the inevitable reckoning. Manchester United will face opponents who defend with similar discipline. They will encounter low blocks constructed with the same compactness and organization. And unless they develop a more sophisticated method of chance creation, they will continue to rely on incidents rather than intentions. The broader consequence here extends beyond this single match. Every result obtained through situational fortune rather than systematic superiority reinforces a false sense of adequacy. It allows structural flaws to remain unaddressed because the points column suggests that current methods are sufficient. But sufficiency is not excellence. Adequacy is not sustainability. And a team that depends on incidents to break defensive deadlocks is a team that will eventually be exposed when those incidents fail to materialize. Newcastle's performance revealed something uncomfortable about Manchester United's current trajectory. It demonstrated that a well-organized mid-table side with no significant attacking ambition can control the flow of a match at Old Trafford simply by defending with discipline and accepting that a single goal might decide the outcome. That should be alarming. It should prompt questions about why United's attacking patterns are so predictable, why their movement off the ball is so limited, why their build-up play lacks the sophistication to consistently unlock compact defenses. But the result will likely obscure those questions. 3 points earned means 3 points justified in the eyes of those who evaluate football through outcomes alone. The performance will be forgotten. The underlying patterns will remain unexamined. And the structural dependence on incidents rather than systems will persist until a match arrives where no incident occurs and no refereeing decision tips the balance, and the limitations become impossible to ignore. There is a particular danger in victories that feel unconvincing even to those who benefit from them. They create a cognitive dissonance between what the result suggests and what the performance revealed. They allow mediocrity to masquerade as adequacy because the most basic metric, points earned, appears to validate the approach. But football is not evaluated fairly by results alone. The quality of process matters. The sustainability of method matters. And a team that cannot consistently create high-quality chances through coordinated attacking play is a team living on borrowed time, regardless of how many narrow victories they accumulate along the way. Manchester United's inability to penetrate Newcastle's defensive structure was not an anomaly. It was a predictable outcome based on the limitations of their attacking organization. They lacked the movement patterns to create gaps in a compact block. They lacked the passing precision to thread balls through congested areas. They lacked the positional rotations to drag defenders out of their assigned zones and create exploitable space. And most critically, they lacked the urgency to recognize that their current approach was producing nothing of substance and required fundamental adjustment. This is what makes the result so misleading. It suggests that United found a way to win when, in reality, they found a way to avoid losing. Those are not equivalent achievements. One implies agency and control. The other implies dependence on variables beyond systematic influence. And the longer a team operates in the second category while celebrating as though they belong in the first, the longer they delay the difficult work of genuine structural improvement. The tactical lesson from this match is not about Newcastle's defensive competence, though that deserves acknowledgement. It is about Manchester United's offensive inadequacy and the illusion that results can indefinitely obscure. Every match presents an opportunity to stress test a team's foundational principles. This match revealed that United's attacking principles are not sufficiently developed to break down an organized opponent without external assistance. That is not a small problem. It is a foundational deficiency that no amount of narrow victories can ultimately compensate for.